bottom,
Yes.
it should integrate all of
Yes.
that into one, and it should show that because the king's chamber connects into the antechamber, which connects into the top of the grand gallery. So if this is actually, and you can kind of see it here.
So why are they missing that
So
antechamber?
let me show it here. So here they actually do kind of show. You could see what would be the antechamber here,
Yeah.
the
That's
king's
the Grand
chamber here,
Gallery, no? And the
and
Grand
this
Gallery.
is the grand gallery.
Okay.
This would be the antechamber, and this is the king's chamber, and that's accurate to the configuration. So in this one, they actually do
Vabbè, where
show.
is the big void there?
So this doesn't show necessarily the big void. To me, it's not visible in this image.
But
This is the mathematical
to-
detection of it
it
here
is
on the
possible
right.
to read results of the analysis of scintillation. It is another scintillation.
So this
Look,
explanation
would
down
be
at the
fine.
bottom gets way deep into the technical weeds where it would take a in-depth discussion with an expert
Yeah.
to understand what's
Simulated data. No, those are simulated data. Simulated data.
simulated data.
No, simulated data
Similar
it's
data.
not real. It's a simulation data. Simulated data.
So you're saying this is a simulation. So it says
It's
simulation
not real data.
corrected image.
See, it's not real. The real one is we have
This
only
one.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there a process, like you said, with your data of focusing? So is that what they're doing here? Is focusing and correcting the image?
That's a
For
simulation. Our numbers are synthetic numbers, are not real measurements.
Okay.
So it's not real.
Okay.
It's just to show the processing that are doing. It's not real data.
Okay. And again, I only picked the data images for this presentation because I just wanted to compare and contrast the raw data from your team
Okay.
in comparison to the raw data from the Muon team. Who knows which one of these is right? And again, we're having a conversation with an expert on SAR technology. The next person we should have in this round table is an expert on Muon technology so that we could all understand exactly what's
Friendly,
going on
not
here.
like
Oh, of course.
friendly. If
Yeah.
he was today now here,
Yeah.
maybe we could explain one to each other
Yeah.
our results.
No, it'd be
But
so
friendly.
helpful.
And I do have the whole
yeah.
paper, but I would have
Yeah.
to close this, and then it would be a huge tangent for us to look at the math presented in the
let's
paper.
not do that.
So there's a
Yeah.
whole paper about this. If anybody wants to do a deep dive into Muon technology, they wrote a deep paper, the same as with your first paper, that includes all the mathematics
So
in the scan processing.
So the TLDR here is that you have
exactly.
some
Exactly.
discrepancies between the muon reading and the SAR Doppler tomography
Sure.
reading, and in some definitely tried and true method muon detection in many cases, and then at least in the case of that one kind of cul-de-sac shaft, we tried and true as well. For
So my
SAR
only
Doppler
point with
tomography.
this is,
Yeah.
from the perspective of the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities, which is the sanctioned body for investigating the structures, they used this to find the shaft that we just saw, that your team also found. And they're using this data to justify the excavations into the big void. So this is one of the first times that they're going to do a major excavation into the Great Pyramid. So there's only been a few other instances where they've actually drilled into the structure. So that's a major project to be approved by the Ministry of Antiquities. They don't do that lightly, right? It's a big decision when they decide to excavate into the structure. So they do believe in this enough for them to justify this project. But again, who can make sense of what's what on either one of these things? You really have to have an expert, a la Filippo here, or an expert on the Muon technology to really explain exactly what's going on.
Yep.
So next, I really want to get to because again, this could turn into a 6-hour-long discussion, and we'll be here for the rest of the night.
Now we move it fast here.
Yeah. So I can skip through this. The reason I wanted to show this section of the paper is because the SAR team is finding other structures, like tag 1 here on the right is the data shown in tag 1 here in the model. So this feature here that goes down into the bedrock, then there's this step-like feature here.
Probably.
Again, so they're interpreting this data over here on the right into a model to show their interpretation of what this signature actually is.
Yep.
So that's all I'm trying to
Yeah.
show here is the presentation and the development of the model itself.
Yep.
So you'll see these different tags, tag 1, tag 7, and tag 4.
Yes.
Tag 7 is this transverse east to west beam-like feature, and then you have these step-like features here. I actually proposed in my video a while back in 2021. So there have been researchers that have proposed that there was a system of locks, hydraulic locks, that were used to move blocks up into the pyramids. So an interesting interpretation for some of these features could be construction-related features that are still encased in the body of the pyramid that are remnants of the construction process, like water locks, where they were using water locks to float these stones on rafts up into the pyramid body. So again, it's important for any researcher who's analyzing these things to be able to have an interpretation of the function. That's kind of my job in this investigation, is when I see stuff like this, I either have to assess it from the perspective of the operation of the structure or possible vestiges of the construction process. And it would make sense even if it was like the internal ramp, for example. You would have remnants of that internal ramp inside of the structure. If it was water locks, you would also have remnants of the vestiges of the water lock system encased in the final structure. So this is just showing some of the things that the SAR team discovered inside of the Great Pyramid that are new, undiscovered features.
Okay.
So we have data on the right and model on the left.
Okay.
Again, this is just going through showing these linear features here
Yes.
and the different tags that are represented in the model here. So tag number 2 is the feature on the other side. So you have 1 here and then 2 over here.
Okay.
Same thing with,
Yeah, this you see it very well.
yeah, here we go into some more
Yes.
where
There, the Grand Gallery, you see it.
here, yeah. So I was going to point that out here. So this is the Grand Gallery.
And you see also
That's
the superior part of the Grand Gallery. That you go up.
Yes.
There are features that are connected to the King's chamber. No?
The antechamber.
The
Yeah,
antechamber.
the antechamber here.
This is very clear. You see it.
Yeah. So again, I'm just showing to everybody who hasn't seen this yet, the raw data on the right and the extrapolation of the raw data into the 3D model.
Yeah.
So they're
It's
just
very-
interpreting the features that they see here
Did-
into this model.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do any of these structures that they're interpreting from the raw data fly in the face of what conventional archaeology would think exists inside the pyramids?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
Okay.
All of this is the only known vetted chambers of the Great Pyramid: King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber, Grand Gallery, and Subterranean Chamber. You have 4 chambers connected by a system of shafts.
We're obviously going to get way deeper into your theory in our solo episode.
Sure.
But does any of this comport with the functionality that you think the
I've
pyramid
integrated
has?
all of this into a functional hypothesis. So I have, Filippo, I've entertained all of these speculative features in a model of my hypothesis for how the structure works.
Okay.
For
so
example, the heat exchanger system that goes around the King's Chamber and above the Grand Gallery, the extraction shaft connected into the Queen's Chamber, which is that shaft leading out of it. And I also have a hypothesis for how these, again, I have a number of different interpretations for what these vertical features below the pyramids might be. I've not publicly yet, but I do have an interpretation on what those could be. Reason I haven't come out publicly yet is because I think there's still more investigation that needs to be done to verify the configuration of the structure.
Mm.
So again,
yeah.
we have more.
Yes, there it is a bit confusing. That
It's very confusing.
Some of the basic confusion around the pyramids, it's a perennial debate and question is how they were built.
Sure.
And you have people like, I think, Jean-Pierre Houdin in France who say that there's something about like, internally, like the blocks get pulled up or something. Could any of these structures deal with how the pyramid was
Well, that's what I
constructed?
was saying is
Yeah,
that so
there's like a pulley or
for
something.
example, in the model,
Yeah.
these could be remnants or vestiges of a water lock system
Uh-huh.
that were used to move blocks up into the pyramid.
Interesting.
It certainly could be.
Mm.
My only issue with this is the extrapolation from the data into the model.
Yeah, sure.
That is things that we discussed previously. Those are two tomographic lines. No, if we had the chance to see the video belonging to tomographic lines, things could be perfect because you are watching something dynamically and you recognize very well the structures.
So, for example, in this one on the top right, there's so much going on with this over here.
A lot of false alarm, yes.
False alarms.
I'm aware that
So how
there you have false alarm, but it is only one. You have others.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you agree that in all of this raw data, it's very difficult to say with any certainty, based on all of the interference and background data, that the model itself, so the data is clearly picking up something. It's difficult for me to be on board with the model given what I can see and hear.
What would you say to that, Filippo? Is the level of intricacy, given the fact you want to go back one slide?
Yeah.
Just given like how in detail and intricate the model is, the 3D model that you guys have derived, and then also given what you just said, which is there's a lot of noise in the raw reading. Do you really think you can stand behind that 3D model?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Why is it?
100%.
Wow.
Because we have interpreted really a lot of results.
Okay.
All on a table.
So
Me and Corrado.
So you're basically saying you're like a pro at removing the noise, like what's noise, you can delineate the noise, because you said there's a lot of noise here.
It's not. There is a so-called stripped vertical strip noise, and we have removed it now in the new tomography.
Okay.
That kind of noise. So there is not any more present.
Well, then to me, it's like the muon scans where I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, you could be either one, right? You could be looking at both of them.
Yeah.
And I think Filippo's point about a synergy between the two technologies where they're merging the two techniques is probably the best course of action for really getting closer to the truth.
Yes, because you are detecting things and then you use another method, a complete other method to try and detect the same thing.
Yeah. So for example, Filippo, you said that the scan happens once and it's 15 seconds. And inside of the structure, there are going to be micro vibrations that are happening just based on the geology and the seismic movements or anything. So is it possible that some of these detections of micro movements are simply the nature of the structure itself, where it's going to pick up something inside of the structure that's producing these micro movements? Yeah. So these images aren't necessarily even background noise, but it could be just foundational elements of the pyramid with tiny little shifts of the block or the slight movement of the earth producing these micro vibrations that are producing a signature that's picked up on the surface. So it's the difficult thing, and this is his job because he's the expert, is differentiating between background noise, normal vibrations within the structure, and actual chambers. So that's critical in really understanding this data, is the differentiation between each and trying to separate out which is which.
But you feel confident in your ability to differentiate.
I have to say this also. Everything we put we insert in the 3D model, we analyzed a lot of results. So we are, I can't say sure, but very confident that probably things that we insert in the 3D model are the reality, are effective there.
Okay. So let's go to the final 3D model.
Yeah.
Which we have. So this is another